right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I have for you guys today, Chris Bumstead, another physique update from Chris in this new garage / backdrop of his, which seems to have incredible goon light, hitting a front lat spread pose, which I've always thought is one of Chris's best poses, even though it's not a mandatory pose in classic physique. I think it's one of the greatest poses that Chris has to show off the width of his upper body, his V-taper. He kind of does that, not a full vacuum pose, but still kind of sucks in his abs. And he looks really good here. And I've seen a lot of different commentary about this picture, a lot of different comments in the comment section, a lot of people saying Chris should jump to open. I know that's been something that people have teased Chris about for a while, is when are you going to switch to open? And look, I'll tell you guys right now, I don't think Chris is switching to open. I really don't think he's ever going to. I don't think he's going to anytime soon, that's for sure, because he's dominating classic right now. But I will tell you guys, if Chris did decide to switch to open, I actually think he would do well. I don't know if I would say he would win the Olympia in open, but I think Chris would do well. He's got the symmetry. All the things that are judged in classic physique, a lot of them are similar to what's judged in bodybuilding, just less emphasis on size. And I think in the beginning, classic used to have less emphasis on conditioning, but I don't think that's the case anymore. I think these guys, a lot of times in contest condition, classic physique guys are just as lean, if not many times leaner than men's open bodybuilders. But in the beginning, I don't think the emphasis was as heavy on conditioning. But look, Chris has all the attributes of a champion in bodybuilding or 212. He's got the symmetry. He's got a really good flow, a really good structure, classic attributes to his physique that make him dominant in classic, but he's also got the muscle mass where he could hang with a men's open guy. He's got the size where he could hang with a men's open guy. He's got big legs. He's got a big defined back, a wide upper body, big shoulders, big arms, a big chest. If he were to switch over to men's open, I think the only thing he would really have to do is add on size. And I know this conversation is a bit of a sidebar because I don't think he's ever going to switch to men's open, but I think he would need to add on size. His off-season weight was like, what, 260, 264? For his height, I don't think that would cut it in men's open bodybuilding, that size. I think he would need to add some. But I think if he did, he would do very well. That being said, I don't want to see Chris switch to open. I want to see Chris stay in classic and dominate in classic and not unnecessarily put on a bunch of tissue to compete in men's open bodybuilding and risk his health. Thumbs up this video and comment if you agree. I want to see Chris stay in classic. I don't want to see him unnecessarily do something risky or stupid like switch to men's open bodybuilding. He's in a great position where he's at. Now, speaking of that, I've also seen some people drawing some comparisons between Chris and Dorian Yates in this particular photo. Now, do I agree that Chris and Dorian look similar in this pose, in this picture, with this lighting, with that backdrop, with the lighting, or with the photo switch to black and white? Yes. Do I think it's too early to be making Chris Bumstead and Dorian Yates comparisons? Absolutely. As much as I love Chris's physique, I think Dorian Yates comparisons, just because one pose with the same lighting in both pictures are black and white, same pose, they look similar. I think that's a little bit early to be making those comparisons. But I think that is a sign of how Chris looked here. One of the takeaways for me looking at that picture, and again, it feels like every time we talk about Chris, it's nothing but compliments, but he just looks big. He looks a lot bigger, and I'm assuming he's going to be in shape. He always is, even when he's sick or even when he's injured, he's in shape. But he looks a lot bigger here, and I think that's going to be a dangerous version of Chris, even though he's got to fit down in that weight class, or that weight restriction for his height. So as long as he meets that weight cap, a bigger Chris just means more muscle in the right places, and I'm assuming less fat and less water. Now, we also can't forget about Terrence Ruffin, Ruff Diesel, as his training coach, the hypertrophy coach, reminds us on Instagram with a comparison shot between him and Chris hitting the same pose, the front lat spread. Now, Terrence, you know he was runner-up last year. I think that was one of the best judging calls I've seen in a while. I've said this before, but I think Terrence is probably the best poser in the IFBB, period, across all divisions. I love Terrence's posing routines. He's fantastic, and his physique is fantastic too. And in classic physique, those two characteristics are what got him that second place spot. Now, this raises an interesting discussion that I've seen a lot of people talk about on social media, specifically the height difference between Terrence and Chris in the weight restrictions in classic physique for your height. So if you guys didn't know, classic physique, one of the things that was intended to keep the physiques, I guess, a little bit smaller and different from men's open bodybuilding was they added weight restrictions for your height. So you can only get so big if you're so tall. Now, one of the things that this brings up when you're comparing Chris and Terrence, or even Chris and Brian, is the height difference also leads to a massive weight gap between the two. Like when I look at Chris and when I looked at Brian when he was winning, two very different physiques. And the question is, we see a lot of these taller guys win shows. Chris Bumstead, I think, is going to go on a streak of winning multiple Olympia titles. And I think it's going to be a while before he's defeated. I think he's going to win this year, and I think he's going to win next year, and probably the year after that. And the question that a lot of people have is, should there be these weight restrictions? So I wanted to show you guys. This is on the IFBB website right now, so I believe this is the most current. So 6'1 to 6'2. So these are all the heights and weights. So 6'1 to 6'2, which I believe is where Chris Bumstead falls in, is up to and including 240 pounds or 109 kilos. So that's a pretty heavy classic physique guy. 240 is honestly what a lot of men's open pros weigh on stage. Granted, they're a lot shorter than Chris. Now, when we're talking about shorter guys in classic physique, we're not talking about like super short. We're talking about maybe 5'6 to 5'9-ish. So 5'6 up to and including 180 pounds. 5'5 to 5'6. 5'6 to 5'7 up to and including 185 pounds. 5'7 to 5'8 up to and including 192 pounds. 5'8 to 5'9 up to and including 200 pounds. So, if you're from 5'5 to 5'9", which is pretty common heights because bodybuilding, all the divisions are shorter guys. So I'd say 5'5 to 5'9 would be, in a general sense, a lot of these guys. You're looking at a 40-pound weight difference between a guy that's 6'1 or 6'2 like Chris Bumstead. 40 pounds at the least. 60 pounds at the most. Now, I don't know exactly how tall Terrence is. I believe he falls in the 5'7 to 5'8, the 192 pounds. I believe. So he's giving up roughly 50 pounds, I believe, to Chris Bumstead. I don't know where Brian falls in that. I think Brian's like 5'9", so he's probably giving up more like 40 pounds. But in case you guys didn't know about these weight caps, I've seen a lot of people talking about this. And when I was looking at the page, I was like, man, these are pretty significant gaps. So I wanted to know what you guys think in the comment section below about these weight limits and the gaps that they create between certain heights. I mean, I get the idea behind it. I think the point is kind of to limit the size of these guys so they don't go crazy like men's open guys. That's kind of the point with the height and weight restriction. But it does create some pretty large gaps in the amount of muscle that one guy can put on versus another. So I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below about the IFBB classic physique weight restrictions. Do you think it gives taller competitors an unfair advantage? Now, let's get on over to men's open bodybuilding. Steve Kuclo posting, this one, I guess, is an official physique update for the Arnold Classic. 4 weeks out from the Arnold, sitting at 290 pounds. So Steve confirming the massive version of Steve that we saw in Texas. Like I said, I believe he posted a story saying he weighed 291 on stage. So maybe this is a good sign. Because like I said in my last video, I think he needs to tighten up a little bit. I think that's the main thing with Steve. He needs to come in tighter. He needs to come in sharper. Conditioning needs to be a heavier focus. It's great. He came in bigger. He came in absolutely massive in Texas. But if he weighed 291 on stage in Texas, and he's weighing 290 now at 4 weeks out from the Arnold, I think that means we're going to see a tighter version of Steve at the Arnold than what we saw in Texas, which I think will be dangerous. Do not count out Steve Kuclo. I think he is a very dangerous guy in this Arnold Classic lineup, and he's not getting talked about as much Don't be surprised if you saw Steve in the first call-out at the Arnold and he finds his way in the top 3, top 4. It wouldn't surprise me. Do not count out the kook. Now, switching over from pro bodybuilding to amateur bodybuilding, another video check-in from the one, the only, the Jujimufu. Getting even closer to his debut on a bodybuilding stage at the Olympia Amateur just a few weeks away now, less than 6. Showing off what I believe is one of the strongest points that Juji has. Well, 2 of them. His back and his conditioning. Well, his shoulders too. He's got freaky shoulders. We all know that. But anyway, he's getting ready for the Olympia Amateur. He's showing off his conditioning. Very short posing clip here. And it looks very reminiscent of what we saw when he thought he was prepping for the Arnold Amateur of 2020. He looked very conditioned going into that, and that's why I thought he would do well going into that show. His conditioning is very good. It's conditioning on a level that we don't see very often for a guy to be walking around. I mean, most of the time, you know, he was months out from this show, just walking around crazy lean. Just in his videos, training, posing, you know, fooling around. Crazy lean. So, certainly looking forward to seeing what Juji brings to the stage in a few weeks. Now, let's get into some Arnold updates because we are getting so close. We are within 4 weeks of the Arnold Classic, this year's Arnold Classic. We have the latest update from your 2021 New York Pro Champion, Nick Walker. The young, the freaky, the mutant. A lot of people's favorite in the Arnold Classic lineup to pull off the upset. But his latest update, less than a day ago, back double, side chest, and a side tricep. The main thing I'm noticing, some pretty wicked separation in that lower body. It looks insane. I mean, he's known for his arms. His upper body is massive. But his legs, I think, are just as freaky, and I think he's looking good. I'm really excited to see him make his Arnold Classic debut. I remember talking to him after he won the New York Pro, and I told him I really want to see him do the Arnold. He's like, no, I want to focus on the Olympia. I'm super glad he decided to jump into the Arnold lineup because I really want to see. I think he can really do well. And like I said, a lot of people have him as a favorite to win. I think there's a pretty good odds that you could see Nick in the top 3 at the Arnold. I don't think it's unlikely. Now, another guy, a multiple show winner, Texas Pro, Tampa Pro, Iain Valliere. Iain posting a physique update going into the Arnold around the same age. Actually, no, he's 30. So he's 2 years older than me, so he's a few years older than Nick Walker. But still a relatively younger guy, Iain Valliere, coming in off of 2 professional wins, back-to-back Olympia qualifications, going into the Olympia, using the Arnold Classic as kind of a warm-up. Iain Valliere posting this front lat spread as well. It looks like in the same garage as Chris. I'm just now noticing this while I'm looking at this picture. Chris's garage really does have the goon light. If you bring your brother-in-law over, bro, I got the lighting. You got to take pictures in my garage. But he posted this front lat spread, which I think is one of his better poses, just like Chris. 2 weeks out, 2 weeks post-Texas, 4 weeks out, Arnold Classic, 6 weeks out, Mr. Olympia. Really, all these guys, Iain included, are all guys that I think we could probably see, we're probably going to see in the first call-out at the Arnold. Steve, Nick, Iain, and they're all guys that could be in the top 3, and they're all guys that I could see winning the show. It's going to be such a good lineup. And speaking of newer guys, younger guys in the Olympia lineup, one guy that we cannot overlook, James Hollingshead. I saw this posing video of James today, and I was extremely impressed. Is he open? Is he classic? It's kind of hard to tell watching this posing video. But the interesting thing is, one of the things that I always liked about James is the size that he brought combined with conditioning. I've said this 1,000 times. Granite, grainy, hard conditioning, but he's giant. That's what I like about his physique. Heavy training, trains like a power lifter. He deadlifts like 700 pounds for reps. Crazy, crazy hard training sessions you see from James. Crazy dense muscle, crazy mature muscle, crazy size, but crazy conditioning. And now we're seeing these posing videos like this. If he's going to have crazy classic posing with a ton of size, grainy conditioning, I don't know. I think James is going to be a really underrated dark horse in the Olympia this year. I think he's going to catch a lot of people off guard, catch a lot of people by surprise, and he's going to come in. I think he's going to do very well at the Olympia. I think he's going to do surprisingly well at the Olympia. I think we'll probably see him in the Olympia's top 6. I think he's the best bodybuilder coming out of the UK right now. So let me know what you guys think in the comments section below about all the stories we discussed in this video. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. As always, if you guys made it to the end of the video, you guys probably like the channel. You probably like the video. Just hit that thumbs up button. Hit the like button. It's free. It's easy. It does a lot to support the channel. It forces the video into the algorithm the more likes that we get. Hit the bell notification button if you're already subscribed. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. Honestly, every time I put these reminders at the end of the video, it works. We get way more likes. We get way more subscribers. We get way more bell clickers. So if you have not done any of those things yet, but you enjoy the channel, please do all of them. It'll help out a lot, and I would appreciate it. As always, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.